And then there's the third episode. I think that's the Hive one. So it's
Yes.
just like plot. And then, what villain group has an aesthetic like the fucking Hive? They really galaxy brained on that one. I love the Hive.
Sometimes a family is just a laser witch, a 7-year-old with big spider claw legs, and a man named Mammoth.
It's just genetically modified to be big.
Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations all in the hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron, and I've got the Sonic.
And I'm Leyla, and I've got the Boom.
And this week, we continue our venture through Toonami memories with Teen Titans and Yu Yu Hakusho. Remember, you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and signing up for our newsletter, or following us on Twitter at MortifiedPod. Leyla, how are you feeling about these two samplers we just did?
Considering I jammed them all down my throat this morning,
Jesus.
Listen, I've been at Lightbox all weekend, and I only found out about Lightbox on Thursday, so
Oh my god.
it's kind of thrown everything into turmoil. But I have a lot of very big emotions, so it's going to be a lot of processing for us today, I think. How are you feeling about it?
I was a lot stronger about Teen Titans than Yu Yu Hakusho, but that's more than nostalgia talking because I haven't seen a Teen Titans episode in like a decade, so pretty hype about this one. I mean, how about I sum up Teen Titans and then you can do Yu Yu Hakusho because that one's sort of your baby.
It is my baby.
So Teen Titans, I don't actually know anything about the comic books, but I believe they're set in the DC universe. Like they include Robin. Basically, my understanding is that they're like 5 teens that live in this tower that's like not in Gotham City, but like in like around there. Like if you just like go 2 hours north of Metropolis, you'll get to where the Teen Titans live. And I mean, they're a crime fighting team like the Justice League or whatever. And they work together and they fight a very bad man named Slade, and they have cool teen adventures together, and a lot of their problems, at least in the first 10 episodes, center around them like dealing with the fact that they have to live in a tower with 4 other teenagers, which I think is pretty funny and accurate. And it's a show that I think has so many important and strong memories for anyone who was into that sort of stuff from the years 2004 to 2007. I mean, the show only had like 60 episodes, so it was a very short run. But I believe like I had seen all the episodes that we watched. I don't think I've seen like the last like 30, but like when that theme song booted up that first time, I got like literally like I had this. It was like getting punched in the face with nostalgia. I was just so happy. I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe it's like coming home after being away for a decade. I was just like, I missed you all so much, my friends. I'm so happy to be back.
The same thing happened as like that Kaiba music video for me, where it was just like something deep awakened inside my belly, and I just like knew all the words. And I did not skip that opener once. I watched 10 episodes. Not once did I skip the intro. Every single time I'm like, yeah, when there's trouble, you know who to call. Teen Titans. Go. TENTITANS, Teen Titans, let's go. Every time. Hits
holy shit.
As hard as it should every single time. That is a slapper of an intro. We'll get into that a little more later because I want that to be our transition because I think the Yu Yu Hakusho intro also slaps. But
yeah, and then like the parts, I think there are at least 2 episodes where they sang it in Japanese. I was like, oh my god, yes. Sometimes they put it in Japanese with no explanation, and it rules. It still kicks ass. Hi, Puffy, Yumi. You're a great rock group. I hope you're all still doing well.
Well, that's the thing, right? So like J-pop never really hit over here like K-pop did. That being said, like Sheena Ringo, my queen, came out with like a very sapphic track recently with Utada Hikaru. I might be getting my J-pop songstresses mixed up, but it's basically about like taking a vacation together, like a romantic getaway. It's very cool. I'll send you a link in the show notes because it's a bop. Yeah, so J-pop never really hit over here like K-pop is now, but the fact that a Warner Brothers led DC based comic book show that didn't even make it through its full run, then opened the doors not only for Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi to do that intro, but for the Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi show is the most aggressively mid-2000s legacy you could possibly have.
Like, it is so wild in the year of our Lord 2020 when, like, the fucking Snyder Cut is the biggest thing to come out of DC, like, Warner Brothers, that universe. Like, it is so wild to look back, like, 15 years and be like, man, they were doing some shit and it was weird and it, didn't always hit properly, but like it worked and like it was new and interesting and cool and not dour and boring and just like a fucking Zack Snyder slugfest. Like,
right,
we're in such a different era.
And we so are. And it's so exhausting because like, okay, so when we were kids, like we said, everyone has really big feelings about like Teen Titans and it feels like coming home. It's such a good show. And we were robbed. The fact that it got canceled, and it got canceled, if you didn't know, because of the same reason. This is as far as I remember, and as far as I know, I didn't actually do any like confirmation research on this, but the common wisdom on Teen Titans is the same as Young Justice, which is to say, there weren't enough merch sales, but they also never made any merch because girls watched the show.
Okay, one, that's fucking stupid. Two, like, all of my dude friends were obsessed with Teen Titans. I mean, I completely understand why it was a hit with, like, young girls, too, but, like, I don't get it. Like, why?
It was a hit with everyone, but because a sizable portion of girls watched it, there wasn't enough merch, and then when it didn't sell, because everything is capitalism and hell. But that being said, like you said, it was new and interesting, and it didn't always work, right? So it's this, like, we'll just get into it now. Layla's Craft Corner of Crap. So, watching it as, like, somebody who's been through film school and who is just, I mean, like, let's face it, I'm a weeb. It's so interesting because it borrows so many cues and so much visual language from anime. Like, it does that sort of comic booky, sometimes they'll be, like, really chibi and really cute, or, like, characters will be comically like changing sizes and yelling at each other in the same frame with the other characters in the back of the frame. If there's group fight sequences, which by the way, this is some of the smartest budget shit you could do. When there's like a big group fight scene, they'll isolate characters, but if they need to show everyone, unless it's like really important, it's just a silhouette on a flat line. And like, that's so cool. They do so much really, really, really cool shit with that. The stuff that's weird and doesn't always land is like, they tried to push both the comedy and the drama in like hype directions. Like they try to make it both very dramatic and very comedic, which sometimes worked, but they wanted the fights to be more serious. So there's no like dialogue while they're fighting. So it's just this like 30-second looping action track and just like, ha, wah, for like 3 minutes. And I'm like, please someone like drop a one-liner, Beast Boy, say something, anything at all, please. Just like somebody speak. But like, so sometimes you miss the kind of tacky superhero dialogue, because it's good tacky superhero dialogue. I think the show opens with something like, I made a note on it because it was so fucking funny. No matter how you do the math, it all adds up to you going down, which is just the best shit in the world. And the whole thing is like that. And it's just so good. And I wish they'd leaned into it a little more, but yeah, it's like it's also one of those shows where, like, we only watched the first 10 episodes and it only really starts having a quote-unquote plot, like, after 7. So you can tell it's one of those shows that's like, are they gonna let us? Are they gonna give us a budget? Money? A budget? Are we getting no, plot, go! So it's, and then they got canceled anyway. But, yeah, so, and I know when we were DMing, you said you had, like, specific things or questions for me or something, or you wanted my thoughts on certain things?
Yeah, specifically the last episode we watched, which was, so the Teen Titans get kidnapped by this fucking Paul McCartney knockoff man named Mad Mod, and he like holds them in this prison that he made that's a British school. And like, no plot happens throughout the entire episode, but like it's just I don't understand, and that's why I wanted your thought as like an industry insider. Like what like that doesn't seem like an episode that was easy to make. Like I think the fucking writing and the voice like acting recording would have been easy compared to all the incredible like art shots, because there's like so many different things of like I mean his weird torture mansion is like an MC Escher like painting where like they're running up and going through all the weird tunnels and staircases, and then like there's different individual paintings of his face as like inside of other famous paintings, and it's just like I don't know why you all did this fucking art episode, because it was like I didn't necessarily love it because I like the character stuff more than anything else in this show, but like it's such a weird and inventive thing that like you have to give them credit for it, because it's just wild. And you know they took a big swing. It might have hit for somebody, but like I was wondering if you have any idea why they would have tried that.
Honestly, the mid-2000s made no sense. I have no fucking clue why. Like,
Great.
It truly, I have a feeling some storyboarder just, like, came in to a pitch meeting and was like, okay, guys, listen. You know how we have, like, a little bit extra room in the budget and, like, we need to establish, like, X or Y? Like, let's throw this fucking episode in. Or maybe there was plot in it originally and then it got cut for some reason. Like, truly, I couldn't. It was such... Broadcasting standards back then were so crazy that, like, again, like you said, sometimes the theme song was just in Japanese. Like, it I don't know what was going on in television in the early mid-2000s, but it was buck ass. Like, I truly have no explanation. It's mysticism to me.
It's so weird. Like you can tell that this show is such a product of that mid-2000s era because, like you said, of all this weird jank. But like, despite all the weird, strange production stuff around it, I think it's still like kind of an incredible show, especially for like that demographic. Like when I was in the 4th grade, I was just so like obsessed with it, and like I picked up and I still recalled all of like the major character beats going down. I was like, oh yeah, Raven has a weird thing with her dad. Starfire has a weird relationship with her sister. Cyborg eventually goes to the Hype Academy where he's an undercover agent, and then he discovers that he has complex feelings about his relationship with the Teen Titans. And Robin, like his dad Batman, is obsessed with catching a bad guy named Slade. I mean, we should talk about characters, but can we talk about Slade first?
Yo, Slade is fucking, first of all, more evil than like a children's show villain usually is. Like, he's like if you threw him in a modern day drama, I'd be like, that dude's fucked up. 1, 2, love his flair for the dramatic.
Listen, Slade is extremely extra, and we love that. The one thing that I think undercuts Slade's just like pure evil is the fact that he is like unironically, like without hesitation, going toe to toe with like 16-year-olds. Like when he's fighting Robin in all those like cool like fight action sequences, it's like, sir, I feel like this isn't fair. I mean, Robin is, you know, Batman's protege, but you're still beating up a boy.
That's true. You are fighting a boy.
Yu Hakusho has the same problem. We'll talk about it in a bit, but it's like, they are not even in high school yet, sir. Please be nice to them.
Yeah, I mean, again, it takes beats from anime, so I think, and I mean, we talked about this before too, right? When you're a kid and you're watching it, you're like, yeah, Robin's so badass, and we're like, in our mid-20s, we're like, that's a boy, that's a boy, that's a boy. Boy!
That's a child, sir. Please.
Collect him, please. No, it's true, and he is incredibly extra, like, to the point where I think one of my favorite Slade scenes, and, like, I mean, honestly, there's some things, it's not even character beats, but there were, like, lines of dialogue I recalled. Like, there were just things in the show that are so ingrained in my, like, physical memory that I didn't expect. It was such a trip down memory lane, but I remembered this moment from when I was a kid, because I'd seen the episode a couple of times, but when Slade, when Robin first finds out about, like, the existence of Slade, I think it's when, like, the Hive kids fail. Slade just, like, turns around. He's like, don't worry. I got what I needed. And he turns it on as just, like, 50 billion multiplying screens of Robin saying, who is Slade? And I'm like, exactly. What do you have against this boy?
Okay, I don't actually know who Slade is, and if you actually do, don't tell me, because,
no idea.
Okay, good. Because, like, I'm considering watching Teen Titans just, like, casually.
Big fucking same. I'm about to work my way through the whole thing.
Because it was, like, pretty good. But like my headcanon is like this is just what happens when Batman is gone, is that Alfred becomes a supervillain. Because he's just like, I need to take out my anger on someone, and it might as well be this snotty little kid.
Might as well be this asshole. That being said, like, okay, so if we're gonna talk about the characters, I am always really wary of like I hesitate to call them a romance, but like a coupling where like the girl is really like born sexy yesterday and the guy's like, oh, let me show you around town, sweet cheeks, you know? But like every time Starfire is upset, Robin goes to her and is like genuinely trying to be a friend to her, and he never makes fun of her for eating fucking cotton balls, something she canonically fucking did.
Yes,
like, it's just, you know what? Let's just, you know, here, stamp, seal of approval. Starfire and Robin have rights as a straight couple. Beast Boy and Raven have rights as a straight couple. And Yusuke and Keiko have rights. That's it. I've declared it. They're the only ones so far in this podcast, the only ones that have rights. We'll talk about Yusuke and Keiko. We'll talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Beast Boy and Raven, okay. Yusuke and Keiko, I don't think so.
They have rights. I declare.
All right, we'll
tell you why.
We'll get into that in 20 minutes. Let's start with, who's your favorite Teen Titan of the 5?
Oh, that's so hard.
It's Raven though, right?
It was Raven. I think it's like Raven and Starfire, and then I should have appreciated Beast Boy more when I had him.
Okay. Yeah. You have a thing for dumb boys, and that's fine.
So
let's start. I want to save Raven for last because she is my favorite. Let's start with the team leader, Robin. Obviously, he's Robin of Batman protege fame. He was my favorite growing up because I was like, yeah, he's the team leader, and I want to be just like him and be cool, and we stand a short king.
We do stand a short king.
And like you were saying, like I do appreciate the vibe that Robin gives off, especially with like Starfire, even in the one episodes where like when he's not fighting with Cyborg, like that's a weird dynamic, but like he does like project the vibe of like, hey, I'm the team leader, I want us to get things done, but I do also care about all of you, and like that's my whole thing, even though I did get a lot of weird bad obsessive traits from my surrogate dad. I like Robin. I think he's like, you know, if you're gonna have a team leader, you can't make them too overpowered, and Robin is like probably the weakest out of all of them, which is it's an interesting dynamic, and I appreciate that.
He's got a fun belt and a good stick.
I mean, that's all he does, really. Except for the one time where he's like, I can't trust my team members, so I have to turn into
let me go undercover and explicitly invite them to kick my ass.
Hey, this'll throw them off if they beat the shit out of me as Red X.
What a tacky motherfucker. I love him so much.
But even the Red X... What? It didn't work. Oh god. And then like he wasn't even a good bad guy, because like Beast Boy gets like thrown into the path of a train, and then he immediately goes to save him because he's the natural team leader, and Beast Boy's like, hey, did you just save me? And then Robin's just like, oh shit, and just kicks him in the chest. He's like, bye. God. Robin is like the first level evolution of like an edgy thief Pokemon.
Yes.
The second level of which is Kaz Brekker from Six of Crows.
I literally thought about Kaz as soon as I saw Robin. I'm like, oh god, he's giving me such Kaz vibes.
I was like, that was like my first note, and I don't know what the third one is. If you could make a poll for an annoying edgelord, please.
Oh man, you know what though? Like, I love an annoying edgelord up until they become like men annoying edgelords. If they're
it's Sasuke. It's Sasuke. I forgot. We canonically made it Sasuke in our Six of Crows episode. Damn it, Sasuke, you got us again.
Fucking.
Let's move on from Sasuke and try to talk about a better boy, specifically a Beast Boy.
The only way I want to hear about Sasuke is that one line in that Meg Thee Stallion song that I haven't been able to get out of my head.
I can't believe I didn't send that to you.
I'm so mad at you.
Because my friend Michael was like, hey, you are in the circle of people who appreciate this, and I was like, holy shit, yes I am.
Pussy like a wild fox looking for a Sasuke. Meg Thee Stallion, cultural icon.
Oh, God.
Anyway, Beast Boy.
So, Beast Boy, why don't you talk about Beast Boy so I can recover from that line?
Beast Boy is the dumbest motherfucker alive.
Fucking dumb.
And he can turn into different animals. and he's a vegetarian, which I think is very sweet. And he likes pranks. He's a pranky boy. He's a naughty, naughty rascal. And Heart of Gold, Dumb as Rocks, which is really just... I've grown into loving that very much in characters because it's just harmless and fun. I think one of my favorite Beast Boy moments was that episode where he was trying to prank Cyborg and accidentally ended up getting Starfire instead. And it was this, like you said, like this show has a lot of really good like lessons for kids, and they can be a little ham-handed, but like they're never like super obvious. We'll talk a little bit more on this because I think Cyborg had like one of my favorite episodes, but he got Starfire with basically a water balloon full of motor oil, which was for Cyborg would just be like a mess to clean up, but for Starfire was like a thing, and Starfire doesn't really like to be pranked anyway. And they spend this whole episode kind of like paired together, and she's mad at him the whole time, and it takes him like the whole episode to just like genuinely apologize. And then once he figures out how to apologize and be like, hey, I know I was just goofing, but like you could have really gotten hurt. I'm so sorry. Starfire like apologizes to him, and they're friends again. They're tight. And he's just like a sweet little. He's just a little nug, and he can be an alligator, and sometimes he'll get real mad at the hot boy from Atlantis and race him and then fuck everything up. And that's just like a great dichotomy for a character for me.
I wanted to talk about that apologizing moment real quick because like once she makes up with him, he does turn into a kitty and jump into her arms, which is adorable, and I love that. And secondly, I think that like that moment of like Beast Boy being like, I am apologizing to you for what I did. I'm sorry. And I know that I hurt you. And like, it is like kind of over the top, but like, as we've seen, as we've grown older since we watched Teen Titans originally, men do sometimes just need to be told like, hey, you should apologize explicitly and with meaning behind it, because otherwise they're not going to get the message, and they're going to be bad people. And like, I'm glad that this show tried to teach that to its, I guess, primarily female audience. So well, at least somebody got that message.
I don't know if primarily female, but there was a large enough chunk of girls that it mattered. I can't believe you put me in this position. I'm going to come to the defense of men real quick.
No, please.
It's not just men that need to know how to apologize. It's fucking everyone, though it is mostly generally men due to the societal standards of not having to confront their feelings and feeling like they are allowed to take up space whenever the fuck they want. And I say this only because there was a controversy briefly on twitter.com, as there is frequently, where a queer woman with a platform said something. Yeah, it's just, sometimes instead of doubling down on your bad fucking opinion, you gotta learn how to apologize. So you know what, men? Surprisingly, for once, not just you.
Hashtag not all men. Finally, this podcast has come full circle.
Finally, we did it. Equality.
God.
But yeah, that was a really good episode. It was really important. I love Beast Boy very much. I didn't like him as much when I was growing up because I thought he was annoying. But like now that I'm old, I'm like, oh, I love you, dumb fucking idiot boy.
Let's see. Let's talk about our last boy, Cyborg, who I also definitely liked as a kid. Like he has the cool sonic cannon, and like yes. he's like a gearhead, and he definitely seems like more of the adult of the group, and maybe that's because he's like literally 2 feet taller than everyone else. But like, I don't know. I feel like Cyborg doesn't get a lot of character development in these first couple episodes. Which is to his detriment, because I think he is like a good character. There is that one scene, that one episode where he's dealing with the fact that he is a disabled person, and like I really wish the show had leaned into that more. I know that's asking a lot, but like there was a whole thing where like a kid comes up to him and he's like, "Oh hey, you're my favorite superhero because I have a prosthetic arm," and like I really wish they had like gone into that and tried to explore the narrative of like Cyborg being both like he is a superhero, but like also he is a human with a disability, and like he has to like leave this picnic all the Titans are having because his battery runs out, and he's just like, I wish they had talked about that more, and I think he has a lot of potential. I'm sure he gets a lot of good stuff later on in the series. Do you have any thoughts about Cyborg?
Honestly, that was the episode I was going to bring up when I was talking about Beast Boy. Like, Beast Boy's episode and that episode are my favorite. And not only because Cyborg was shown as a human with a disability, but because he was shown as a human with a disability who, among other superhumans, who so desperately didn't want to acknowledge that he needed to maintain himself that he let his battery run out to like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a life-saving battery, you would not be letting it get within 15 minutes of you shutting down. So, yeah, I don't think, I'm not sure if the writers knew, like, what gold of an episode they had when they wrote that one, but, like, that's a great episode. And it was really cute that kid came up to him and was like, he's just like me, and then brought his friend to be like, look, same hat.
Same hat.
It was cute. Yeah, he doesn't get a ton of development in the first 10 episodes that we watch. I know there's stuff later, but he's just a lot of fun. I really love his and Beast Boy's friendship. I think it's super cute.
Yeah, it's very good. It's like the kind of like dude friendship that you like to see in media.
Yeah, I feel like they would be TikTok famous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For their fucking idiot prank fights.
Yeah, just literally yeeting each other miles.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Starfire.
Love her.
Perfect cinnamon roll. I think that the way that they make her is very interesting because of the fact that, like, okay, so also 3/5 of the Teen Titans team are aliens. And like everyone is cool with that, which is fun and fine. But like Starfire is the most alien among them because like she at least the way her character is portrayed, she's like very new to Earth, and like that's why Robin has to sort of explain things to her. And she says things like, "You are not funny. You are a chlor bag varbler nilk," which sometimes you gotta say it with your chest, girl. But like, yeah, I think Starfire's character is really fun because it's nice to have somebody who's like the nice girl of the group, but also like can turn her superpowers on and get really really powerful and strong when she wants to. I remember being pretty invested in her and Robin's relationship as a child.
Big same.
Interesting, because I was like, oh man, because I think there's definitely one episode where like she takes his mask off and they're like about to kiss, and then something happens, and we're all just like, no, why would you do this to us?
They really are just Kaz and Inej.
Oh yeah, wow.
Damn, full circle.
God, man. All media is the same.
No, it's all the same. Well, yeah, so I don't really know how I feel about the way she's written, especially because, like, Blackfire showing up, Blackfire, like, talks completely normal, and she's, like, hip and cool and whatever.
That's true.
And Starfire talks just like she just learned language in general.
That's also true.
So it's just confusing the way she's written, but like, that being said, that puts me on high alert as someone who's very aware of like that like born sexy yesterday trope. But she's like smart and cool and has a lot of really good things to contribute. I will say that episode where Blackfire shows up for the first time, because I know she shows up again later. Yeah. Man, I don't know if you got a chance to read my notes this time around. But I viscerally, physically remember that episode because it hits on my, like, deepest fears of being replaced. So it was just, I remember the visceral discomfort of that episode for me, and I just sat there with my ass clenched the whole time. But it had some of the best Starfire moments, and it had some of the best moments for Robin, too, when he came out and was like, hey, Blackfire, we're, like, trying to have a moment here, and Blackfire whisks him away anyway. Mm-hmm. And I really like that one, and I also really like the one where her and Raven switch bodies, because it just like brings this validity to like, hey, like, yeah, Raven's cool and cranky and whatever, but like Starfire being excited and kind of weird, that's cool too, and that has its own strength. So it's just very like validating for I don't think we've seen anything like it until Entrapta in She-Ra now. So it's been a really long time since you had like an excited girl character. Well, Mabel from Gravity Falls. But it's been a while since you could have, like, an excited girl character with, like, a lot of feelings and have that be not, like, explicitly embarrassing to her friends and teammates, but instead, like, encouraged.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, if we had more Starfire acceptance, maybe cringe culture wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, cringe culture doesn't exist. Enjoy what you enjoy.
Yeah. Also, like, that Blackfire episode, I completely agree, because like it is such a terrible thing to watch Starfire like seeing all her friends. Oh, this is the second episode too, and it's just like, hey, we're gonna punch you right in the gut with this episode about losing your friends and being replaced and your hot older sister. But like watching it the second time when Blackfire starts talking about how she got way into meditation on Altar and Prime, I was like, oh, that's how you know she's the bad guy, because she's like, yeah, I got way into yoga and chakras. It's like, yeah, shut the fuck up, I know you, get out of here.
Oh yeah, yeah, Blackfire's a lot. Yeah, that one hits on some very particular old childhood fears of mine. I mean, like, though, it is the second episode. The show has no pacing. It's just, it's just utter chaos. The first
like,
two
what
episodes,
are we doing this week?
The first two episodes are these like emotional heavy hitters for, I think, Cyborg and for Starfire, and then there's the third episode. I think that's the Hive one. So it's just like plot, and then what villain group has an aesthetic like the fucking Hive? They really galaxy brained on that one. I love the Hive.
Sometimes a family is just a laser witch, a 7-year-old with big spider claw legs, and a man named Mammoth.
It's just genetically modified to be big.
That's his superpower. Is we GMO'd him to be muscular. Also, he picks up and throws an elephant in that one, so, like, damn.
I love that. But the Hive aesthetic is great. The golden honeycomb really does it for me.
And then, like, when they take over the tower, they add an extra H on the side and made out of honeycomb. It's just like,
I love that.
Sure.
And they clean the tower. Just fucking angels. But,
they're so nice.
That's episode 3. And then episode 4 is like heavy plot again, or like a character moment, and then there's episodes about like magic puppeteers. It doesn't make, there's no coherency. It's just magic. It's just magic.
Oh god. We gotta talk about Raven real quick before we switch over to Yu Yu Hakusho.
We love Raven.
Raven rules. We've referenced her before as the, archetypical goth queen. She... Oh god, like I don't understand how there weren't like 100,000 people, like young people cosplay. I guess cosplay's been a thing since before the last decade, right? I'm just a fool.
Yes.
I don't understand how there weren't like a bajillion tween girls cosplaying as Raven, because Raven is so fucking cool. Her whole thing is that, like, I have to be centered and control my emotions, otherwise my dad issues will manifest and I'll drag you to hell.
She's a deeply relatable young lady. But, like, that's why that episode with her and Starfire was so cool, because Raven's like, how the fuck do I fly this? And Starfire's like, you just have to feel and lean into it and feel the joy of flight. And Raven's solution to that was, like, picturing a world in which no one is speaking. I'm like, yes! Queen! I love you! Like, she's excellent. And I'll tell you why there were not enough girls cosplaying her. Because they didn't make any merch, and then canceled the show.
Yeah.
We were robbed. This was excellent.
Yeah. I mean, so to be fair, they did sort of reboot it. Have you seen, like, the mini Teen Titans chibi
Teen Titans
show?
Go is a fun time for little kids, and there was one where they, like, had to pair up with their like, original Teen Titans selves to, like, solve... I don't know. I remember seeing the preview. It was a cool-looking episode. And they get really meta, and it's, like, fun. I'll tell you where it pisses me off. There is a feature-length film called Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Shout out to my classmate Carl, who worked on it. And in the beginning of the theatrical release of Teen Titans Go to the Movies, there was an interrupted transmission from the original Teen Titans characters that says, I think we found a way to come back. This was 2 years ago. Where the fuck are my Titans?
Maybe they actually came back as the DC Gritty Titans, the one where
Batman
says "fuck Batman."
Fuck that! Where are my babies?
Oh god, can you imagine what, like, popular creators like Noelle Stevenson could do with the Teen Titans? Like, oh my lord, that'd be so sick.
Her wife, Molly Ostertag, would probably lean more in the gothy direction with that, but, like, listen, there's a bunch of creators I could name just off the dome that would fuck up some Teen Titans content. We have to finish talking about Raven because we have to very quickly mention Terra before we switch over.
Oh my god, Terra. Where do I know that from? She's
We'll
like a sixth Teen Titan, right? Like,
kind of. She's. We'll talk about it. I'm about to get real emotional. We gotta talk about Raven. She rules so fucking hard.
Okay, yeah. I mean, what is there to say about Raven? She's like always. Like, I think the reason that I liked Raven instinctively as a kid is because like she's always seen reading a book, and like, man, if I couldn't go back to that mode where I could just switch my brain and read a 300, 400, 500 page book in an afternoon, I would murder folks for that ability to do that again. I just finished Harrow the Ninth and it took me 2 weeks and it like fucking destroyed my productivity. Like,
listen, that shit's wild. I've been in at Lightbox, as I said earlier, which is all online this year, and I can do maybe 3 sessions a day.
Yeah, like it's hard. But like Raven is just that person who's like, yeah, I like she's explicitly an introvert, like or not explicitly, but like obviously an introvert. Like she's she's reading, like, I mean, she'll hang out with the Titans, but like often she just likes to go and meditate in her room. And like, there's a whole episode where they're like, hey, Raven does have all these other emotions, but she has to keep them in check to use her powers and keep everyone safe. And like, there, at least in the first couple episodes, it hints at such an interesting and rich backstory. Like even in that Starfire episode where they switch bodies, she's like, okay, you're gonna teach, if you're gonna know how to be me, like I have to teach you about myself. And she's like, I was born in a place called Azeroth or whatever, and like, God, they just put so much, they hint so much at like how cool Raven is in the first like 10 episodes, and I love her so much.
I got really emotional at the end of that episode when Starfire comes over and Raven's just like, no, I haven't seen Cyborg or Beast Boy or Robin, and Starfire's like, I actually just wanted to meditate with you. And they just like floated next to each other and meditated, and it was just like a sweet moment of like Starfire recognizing that Raven's like social needs are different, and then Raven reciprocated that with like, hey, after we're done and I get this recharge time, do you want to go to the mall? Yeah. Raven also facilitates my cameo in the show. Did you see me?
No, sorry.
I am the emo boy accosting her in the club who asks, so do you listen to show tunes?
Oh my
That's
god.
just me. That little appearance, it's just me. I'm the emo asking, you listen to show tunes?
I thought you were going to say you were the guy who's like, everything is pointless. You want to talk about it?
That's the same guy.
Oh, is it? Perfect.
Yeah, he's great. Real quick though, yeah, we were robbed because Teen Titans is actually the first time I remember getting emotional and like invested in, and I think crying at a TV show. Like it had never happened before Teen Titans. But Tara, I know you said she was the Sixth Titan, kind of. She was a double agent from Slade, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right.
And dude, when she turns to stone, that was the first time I ever got like really emotional to like a TV show at that age.
Oh my god, I vaguely remember that, and I feel like it was like the talk of the 4th grade class the next day, just like, oh my god, they killed someone.
Absolutely. That was, yeah, it's like, see, it took risks. It was a risky, fun. Oh man, I think I'm gonna watch it because it's so good.
I kind of want to, yo.
Hey, if we both do it, we can
I can't believe this. Maybe we'll visit it later. Yeah. Let's transition into our second show. Leyla, summarize for me, please, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yu Yu Hakusho is an anime about a boy named Yusuke Urameshi who gets hit by a car and then makes a deal with a king baby to become a paranormal investigator and come back to life.
Sounds about right to me.
Mm-hmm. That's the premise of the first arc.
God,
So why didn't you like it? Talk to me.
Okay, so you actually convinced me to watch Yu Yu Hakusho like 2 years ago, and I watched it like through like the whole series.
Lord.
Yeah, and like
that ending is bad.
You warned me about the last season, which is questionable, where Yusuke's dad turns out to be the king of hell or whatever. But like,
I fucking hate that season.
Who cares? but like Yu Yu Hakusho is one of those shows where like I did, it was in Shonen Jump at the time when I was getting into anime, and like that's a show I was very interested in. I'm a sucker for people who use plants as their weapons. I believe I've told you this at least once, but I did ask. I was telling my friends, like, man, I'm just gonna ask the haircut people to give me a Kurama haircut, and none of them had the bravery to say, "Sweetie, that's not how that works." For people who don't know what my hair looks like, it doesn't go down to my butt, and it is a curly hair. I have curly hair, and Kurama doesn't, and I'm not a magical fox man, and I'll forever regret that.
No, don't we all?
But I just feel like this first arc is a little slow. I don't know. Like it starts getting into the shit that I actually like when in the last 2 episodes where we get Kuwabara and the Genkai and all that. Where you start getting more into the lore of the spirit world, where like the first arc is just like, I don't know, Yusuke like learning about his powers, and maybe that's because I came into the show like in the middle of the tournament. Like one of the first mangas I read was like Kurama using his cool death plant to like murder somebody in the tournament, and I remember that. I was like, oh, I'm in love with that man. He rules.
Yeah, how are you straight?
It's wild. I don't know. I was looking at Kurama when I was watching. I was like, man, that is an attractive young man. I don't know, yo. Okay, so the main thing I didn't like about, we were talking about who has rights as a straight couple.
Mm-hmm.
If you went by the first 10 episodes here,
oh no, they don't have rights in the first 10
episodes. And Keiko
episodes.
don't get rights because Yusuke's whole thing is like coming up and grabbing her boobs, and that sucks. So that's not great.
Yeah, sorry, no. Let me amend my statement. They do not have rights in the first 10 episodes. They have rights towards the end when at one point Yusuke's being all like melancholy and Keiko gets mad at him and he tries to go after her and she kicks him down a hill, and then to make her laugh he walks like a crab. That's when they have rights. Okay. That is a real thing that happens.
No, I remember that because you told me to look out for that. And
yeah, the crab walk is everything to me.
Yeah, I mean, like they're it gets better with time. That's a show that actually does get better with age, and then also you don't let it age too long. But like
no, it much like a good tea has a perfect steeping point. And then it gets, on either end, it's a little
sour there at the end.
A little weird.
Honestly, I think it's because, like, we only got, like, the first, like, a couple characters. Like, Botan's fine, but, like, I don't think she's especially interesting. Koenma, I mean, I love the fact that God's son is a baby that is, super powerful, but also still uses a pacifier. Keiko and Yusuke have a weird dynamic. Kuwabara's great. We'll talk about him in a second because he's your boy. But like Hiei and Kurama are sort of the main ones for me that I love in this show. Kurama because of aforementioned reasons, and Hiei because again we stand a short king. Also he has like a super cool move where he shoots black dragon fire out of his arm, and that owns bones. I
mean, like, okay, don't get me wrong, right? I love Kuwabara now as like the current version of me who loves just like a stupid idiot man. I was in love with Kurama. Arguably, still am.
Yeah, you are.
Like, where's the note? Hold on, because when I started writing my notes for Yu Yu Hakusho, I just kind of like went off the dome for a while because I rewatched the whole series pretty recently.
I rewatched this whole show recently, so just like deep sigh. Kurama, though. Like, God, I love him. Is that the note you were talking about?
That is verbatim the note. Yeah, that's it. I love him. I do love him because, like you said, there's just something about that hair and that rose whip. And honestly, there's something about that evil motherfucking fox spirit that lives in him, because when that shirtless, white-haired piece of shit shows up, that's Sesshomaru vibes through and through, which is just
oh my god, you're so right. See, this is why I'm glad you made me watch part of Inuyasha, because now I can make that reference, because that's Sesshomaru. He just showed up in Kuwabara's body like, hey, what's up?
Yes, hey, what's up, motherfucker? I'm here to be shirtless and white-haired and cool, and I'm like, yes, step on me. Like, it truly awakened something in me watching that show. And I also did love Hiei because I love just like a curmudgeon. So, I mean, and again, we stand a short king. So, but yeah, let's go off the roll here. Let's talk a little bit about Yusuke. I love him. I mean, like, his characterization and his writing when he's, like, lifting Keiko's skirt, bad. But, like, in general, I love him.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that, like, a lot of anime does that bullshit. So, like, you sort of have to, I mean, you don't have to accept it, but, you know, you should know that is part of the medium at the time. We don't excuse it, but, you know, it's part of the history. But, like, Yu Yu Hakusho, I mean, fucking Yusuke Urameshi, like, you sort of, like, he has a moment, right? Like, you know, if you're doing any sort of narrative work, you have to have a moment where your hero saves a cat, right? And in this case, it's a small boy. You know, Yusuke, like, has this moment where he's like, oh, I'm going to play with this kid who's just, like, wandering around the street by himself. And he, like, you know, sticks straws up his nose and makes funny faces at him to make him laugh. And then he does try to push him out of the way of the car. Apparently the car wouldn't have actually hit him if he had just let him go, which is very funny.
Which, Botan, why did you tell him that?
Botan's mean.
Botan's chaotic.
She's hysterical. But yeah, no. And, like, that's the thing. Yusuke's, like, they established from the beginning, Yusuke's, like, a fundamentally decent person, and, like, that's his whole character, is that he's an incredibly powerful 14-year-old who, you know, just wants to do good at the end of the day, even though all his teachers hate him.
Yeah, and try to frame him for like, what they, like, illegally hate him. Like, it's quite a lot.
The teacher hate is very strange in this show.
It's odd. I told you before we started recording that I did cry a couple of times. And that was the first time. So Yusuke gets hit by this car trying to save this little boy. And then he becomes a ghost, and it's just like, it has to just sit there and, like, stare at his body, and is like, wait, hold on. If I'm down there, what? How? Am I a ghost? And it just takes him a second, but he gets there, and I'm very proud of him. But as a ghost, and yeah, the beginning's, like, a little bit slow. He basically finds out from Botan, who's essentially the Grim Reaper in pink, which I think is an excellent idea. She's my little cotton candy chaos monster. She's great. That he has this, like, spirit egg that he has to nurture into a spirit beast, and it will either be his guide or it will destroy him. And if it's his guide, then he can come back to life. That's the deal. So he has to do a bunch of good things. But before he accepts that, Botan wants to give him reason, or wants him to see reason to come back, because he's like, everybody hates me anyway. So he goes to his own wake, which don't we all wish? Isn't that everybody's, like, deep down grimdark fantasy of, like, God, I wish I could just, like, fake my death and see what fucking happens. Which, incredibly cruel. Please don't fucking do that. But his wake made me cry because, not because he was dead. First of all, wait, before I get into why I cried, who took that longing, over-the-shoulder, soft, candid photo of him for his shrine? What was that? He's just, like, standing there and, like, gently looking over his shoulder in black and white. Who took that photo of this
Who
boy?
got him to pose like that?
What sort of Vogue ass? Anyway, that threw me while I was being emotional. But the first thing that got me was Kuwabara, because Kuwabara is his rival, and he shows up, and he is screaming. And whoever his voice actor was did an excellent job, because he sounds like he's genuinely just, like, wailing in mourning, and all his, like, fucking tough gang friends are, like, trying to hold him back, like, Kuwabara, don't. He's like, no, Urameshi, get up. And it, like, brought that Lion King, like, dad get up moment into my body again, where I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna cry now. So I did shed a tear. And then I also cried when the mom of the little boy showed up to pay her respects, because something, like, clicked in my head about this moment, about this, like, mom of this toddler showing up, paying her respects, having her son say something, and then having to turn around and pay her respects to the mother of the boy who gave up his life to save her boy. Like, can you imagine, like, I know you want it, I don't want my own children, but, like, can you imagine if your young boy was almost, like, in an accident and then you had to go face a parent who just lost what you almost lost?
Yeah, I mean, that is a lot. That's a pretty incredibly heavy punch for this show.
That fucked me up a lot. I was like, oh, dude, that's heavy. That's a lot. See, and then Keiko was there screaming. It was just a really heavy movie. But yeah, so Yusuke is a moron with a heart of gold. I will say my favorite moment that he has is when he's sitting in that cafe. And this is very... there's, like, gifs of this, but he's sitting in that cafe reading a newspaper, and he looks over after he's come back to life. And he's reading, like, a magazine or some shit, and he looks over, and there's just, like, a dude with horns. And he goes... none of my business, and just, like, goes back to what he was doing.
The line is, that guy's got horns. Well, I'm not gonna worry about it. I just got back to being alive. That's not my problem.
We stand a short king.
Also, I noted in that episode, Yusuke's fashion is always incredible. I miss the 90s, when you could just wear a jacket, and then under that jacket you could wear a sweater vest, under which you could wear a button-down.
Yu Yu Hakusho truly mastered the art of those inserts where all the characters are just, like, in fashion outfits for no reason. I love that. Bring that back. I'm going to bring that back for Astral Heart, actually. I'm just going to make random fashion spreads for between chapters. Excellent. Who can stop me? God.
There we go. Finally. The ultimate art form.
It's peak. It's great. No, truly his fashion is everything. There's, like... I don't know. I have no critique. It's perfect. He wears a green like no one else.
Yeah. Also, there's, like, that one when he's going up to, like, go join Genkai's training or whatever, and he's, like, walking up this mountain in his skinny jeans and this Converse. It's just like, this show.
We can transition into Kuwabara with this too, because he's walking up the mountains like, ugh. Botan's making me go to the psychic so I get her, like, cool powers, but I don't wanna have a long weekend. And he gets there and he's like, ugh, who is this grandma? Jesus Christ, can I go? And then Kuwabara shows up and he's like, dude, I don't even want to be Genkai's apprentice. I just want her to make me stop seeing ghosts. And then Genkai comes out. Genkai, queen, by the way.
She's great.
And Genkai comes out and she's just like, so, you guys are going to compete with each other, and before she finishes that thought, Kuwabara's like, oh, I get to kick Urameshi's ass? Sign me the muckfuck up for this shit! And then they go off. It's amazing.
It's great. I love that, in the first episode, they established that Yusuke has kicked Kuwabara's ass 156 times. And he, like, his whole thing is, like, he just keeps coming back for more, which is...
You know what? We said, listen, Yusuke... The Kaz Wrecker vibes on Yusuke are something else, too, because there's a point where Keiko comes downstairs from having just had a conversation with him, and they're childhood friends, so she, like, doesn't give a shit about him. She's like, dude, you go to school. What the fuck are you doing? You haven't changed to your 4. And her two friends are, like, hiding behind the stairwell. They're like, were you just talking to Urameshi? And she was like, yeah, he's a fucking idiot. And they're like, we heard that he kills for fun. And I'm like,
we heard that if he whistles, 2,000 armed motorcycle men will descend upon you. And she's like, Yusuke can't whistle. What? Who told you that?
It's just Prince Ali, Fabulous He, Alibaba all over again. It's just this. I'm like, why is this middle schooler killing for fun?
Oh my god.
It's honestly fucking everything to me. But his rival, who also just likes to punch, is Kuwabara. I remember when I was little, I thought he was lumpy, and now, honestly, we stan a bisexual king in white linen at a fighting tournament because it looks cool.
He's great. You know, I love that they made Kuwabara's special, like, magic power, just, like, he's, like, very attuned to, you know, being able to see stuff. I just think that's kind of nice that, like, his whole thing is... I love characters who it's like, if you try really hard, then you'll get good, and Kuwabara is very much that, because he's always, like, second to Urameshi, and then, like, you know, in that fight, he's like, I'm getting beaten, this man with the sword is beating me to death. That man with the sword, by the way, that was, like, the last note I took before we started recording, but, like, he's like, this is my spirit sword, it's the perfect weapon for striking down evil, I'm gonna use it to beat this 8th grader to death. To which Kuwabara responds by making his own sword out of, like, pure energy and, like, wishes, which is like, you know what? I respect you, man. You gotta give it up.
I respect the shit out of that. Well, I respect Kuwabara. There's a couple of things about that whole like try really, really, really hard and you'll succeed. First of all, the region in which Kuwabara's powers lie, which is like intuition, would generally be assigned to a character like Botan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you hear a lot of like quote unquote feminine intuition. Instead, he has it, and his older sister, who I am so gay for, have it. Like, I'm so gay for older sister Kuwabara. I forgot what her first name is, but every time she pulls out a cigarette, I'm like, ma'am, please. But that, and then also, he is what Sakura should have been.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you think about it,
they're very similar. That's their whole thing. Like, she was very good at chakra control. He's very good at spirit intuition. It's like a 1-to-1 thing. And I mean, I guess they did sort of make Sakura a little better in... We can't... Sorry.
We started screaming about it in a group chat yesterday. Let's just listen. 30 seconds. I'm literally putting a timer on. 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, here's the thing, is that Sakura, she does get a little bit better in Shippuden because they give her the training with Tsunade, and she becomes a really strong punch monster, but it doesn't even matter, because she still goes back to Sasuke, she still lets Sasuke fucking shoot a lightning bolt through her to, like, also kill his other girlfriend, who apparently ends up being, like, the midwife that was present at their good, great daughter's birth, and it's just not fair.
8 seconds to spare. Correct. I would
practicing.
I would raise all of planet Earth for Sarada. That's 30. Moving on.
Anyway.
Kuwabara is again, like, I can't get over that white linen trench coat. I talk about it anytime I talk about Kuwabara so we didn't get to it in our 10 episode kind of run, but in one of the tournaments, Kuwabara shows up, I'm pretty sure shirtless, in a white linen trench coat with his yellow sword, and it's just aesthetic, and I'm like, when I was little, I was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you wearing, you fucking idiot? Now I'm like, no, that's a look, and that's a bisexual king committing, because, okay, listen, I respect Yusuke and Keiko, I do. Later on in the show, they get better. We've covered it. Kuwabara has a crush on Yusuke. We can't not admit that. And even though he has a crush on what's-her-face, the little blue one that shows up in a couple episodes, valid, whatever, I have no thoughts on that relationship.
Sister, yeah.
Bisexual king.
Oh, yeah, no. Do you... Because my note is that, like, you ever show up in your bro's dreams platonically to help him study for a test? You know, just bros being dudes.
Just dudes being bros, dreaming. Hey, do you ever... It's like that RF Kwong tweet about Chagan going into everybody's minds to get a glimpse of Alton. It's like, yeah, you ever just mourn your bro so hard platonically? Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Man, wild.
Also, like, there is some, like, gay panic where it's like, oh, no, I can't kiss Yusuke or I'll get all my spirit in him. That would be terrible. I would hate to kiss his beautiful, perfect lips and give my spirit energy to bring him back to life.
What a perfect transition into Keiko. Keiko, baby, don't kiss corpses.
Yeah, that was Yusuke, like, it's played as like, oh, hey, Keiko, it's gross that I'm kissing a girl. I think Yusuke has a good point in that one, where he's like, hey, Keiko, please don't kiss my dead body.
Yeah, there's a lot of consent issues there. There's some necrophilia issues there. The writing in the first couple arcs is a little wild. It evens out and then it gets worse again. But, like, why did we do that? That being said, Keiko gives no fucks and will kick Yusuke's ass at every turn. And I love her. I do. She does have to play the damsel a couple of times, but, like, in the moments where she does have something actionable to do, she does it. Like, she ran into a burning building to save her boyfriend's corpse. What did Kuwabara do in that instance? Fucking nothing. He got there and held out his hand, like, come here, Keiko.
Walk through the fire and I'll help you.
Keiko was like, she called grown men cowards, pushed them aside, and ran into a burning building. We stand.
Yeah, I think Botan's quote about her sums it up perfectly, which is like, she's Yusuke's only opponent that he's never been able to beat, and it's like, yeah, that's...
Correct.
That is why they end up together, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's Keiko. Keiko's great, Botan's great. Why is Botan British?
Listen, sometimes you gotta throw in an inexplicably British person, as we've discussed in so many previous episodes.
It's true. No one else is British. No one else. Just Botan.
It's the same.
Does she
It's the
switch
same.
accents for fun every century? That could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you gotta work on something when you're undead.
To work on your impressions.
I mean, it's the same reason Joey Wheeler has that Jersey accent, right? It's just like for fun.
Spice it up a little bit. That being said, her fashion also on point when she goes to the human world a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Girl knows what she's doing. Okay, we saved the best for last. Do you want to talk about Kurama first or Hiei first?
Let's. I mean, we already talked about Kurama a little bit, so let's get into Kurama. He's God, he is my favorite character in these first couple episodes because of just like his extreme like I love my mom energy, which is just like, well, my mom was really nice to me and then she got sick, so I guess I'll die for her. And he's like extremely chill about it the whole time. Like, I love Kurama, and like also he's like the fucking smartest kid in the class, and like, you know, he's super powerful, and like he's everything I want to be.
Yeah, he's my favorite thing. They have a great character moment with him and Yusuke where like Kurama is just like posing dramatically on the rooftop, and he's like, I used to hate humans, but then I took this body of a toddler, or not a toddler, I became this woman's baby, and you know, she raised me, and now she's sick, and I think it's my fault, so I'm gonna die for her. And Yusuke's like, what? Why are you telling me this? Why? I just want that mirror. Why are you telling me this?
But also, the thing is that immediately afterwards, he's like, well, I guess I'll die too instead. And it's like, Yusuke,
I'll die too because I can't see another mother being sad that her son died. And then immediately afterwards, once the mirror doesn't kill him, he's like, oh, fuck, I forgot I was going to do that to my mom again!
He's so stupid!
So stupid. But Kurama is perfect. I love him very much, and he is very much in my oeuvre of like handsome, beautiful, powerful men, like Howl, and I really can just think of Kurama right now because I love him so much. Let's talk about Hiei. Again, short king.
Short king, we stand.
Spiky hair so that he looks less short.
Yeah.
Respect.
Big mood.
Respect. Make the hair tall.
That's what I do.
Protects his sister. Also respect.
Mm-hmm.
A little evil.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why Hiei is cool. He's the edgy one of the group. You know, he's like, I'm an evil demon, and I hate humans, and I'll never do anything good until like 40 episodes later when I become explicitly a good guy because I hung out with Yusuke for too long.
I do think it's neat that he takes so long to come around, because he does. He takes fucking forever to come around, and then when he finally does, it's satisfying because you're like, oh, friendship pulls you around. Which is like my favorite trope in anime, which like friendship can solve anything.
Yeah, I mean he's like Vegeta basically. Like that's you know,
spiky hair, crotchety
short,
motherfucker.
Yeah,
short,
annoyed by everyone, but you know, heart of gold in the end.
He works for it. He works for that heart of gold.
Yeah.
His sick fucking dragon arm, though. What an aesthetic.
Yeah, that's really cool. Especially, I remember seeing that page illustrated in the manga, where like the whole it's just one big page of this big fucking huge dragon when he uses it the first time. It's so cool. He is rad. His whole aesthetic works. Just a great guy all around.
Yeah, just a fantastic helpful
who occasionally
kid.
turns people into demons. You know, you can't win them all.
You really can't, and it's fine. I do a special honorary shout out to Genkai, who's has an arcade in her house just to punk some fools.
Okay, Genkai's clearly that's just to steal money from people. She's a grifter. I hope you brought your quarters because to pass my cool test, you do have to play these arcade games. Also, don't touch the ones that are over there. Those are specifically for me.
Those are just for me. Those have nothing to do with you. They're just for me. Grandma needs to have hobbies too. Oh, Genkai! I always loved that whole arc with her and Toguro, who's like the first big bad of like one of the tournaments, because she's like old and small, and Toguro is big Arnold Schwarzenegger type, like clearly just supposed to be the Terminator with his cyber pervert sunglasses.
Yeah.
But they were in love, and then something happened, and it's just like a nice arc to watch them have to kind of work through that before both of them die, and then Genkai comes back. The show is crazy.
It's a wild program.
But if you can tolerate some shit, it's a good time. It's a good fucking time. And again, opening theme slaps. It's another one of those things that just like awaken something in me.
The only line I remember from that is like, I need to feel the touch of a friend, which is like, this show is like extreme bisexual vibes out the get-go. Like, yeah, sure. Whatever, Cho. Yeah,
I mean, like, if anybody ever asks you to define bisexuality, just show them, like, an episode. Like, it's an extremely big bisexual vibes. Like, one cuffed gene at all times from being just a textbook definition of the whole concept. But this is the longest we've talked in a few episodes. This was a heap of enthusiasm I think we both needed about programming.
There's just a lot of interesting and good characters to talk about, so I'm glad we did this sampler.
Me too. What's our finale for the sampler?
I know we had Gundam written down. We could do Gundam and Boba.
Oh Christ! Yeah, why not?
That's my reaction too. Just completely swinging from the poles.
Yeah, why not? Let's do one of the Gundams and let's do Bobo. And then you know what? Maybe we can also bring like a little show and tell in just like 5 minutes about our personal favorite Toonami shows and just like Toonami in general and how cool it is and that it's back.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that, but it is Naruto for me, unfortunately.
That's okay. You can talk about Naruto. It's okay. Our audience of 5 never gets enough of.
That's true.
Of Naruto.
We don't allow them to have a break.
But everybody must always fucking remember Naruto, and you know what? It's not just us. Meg the Stallion also will not let them forget Naruto. Okay, can I have 30 seconds to talk about that line? Because it has been haunting me.
Yes, please.
So in the middle of a very catchy song called Girls in the Hood, it's something like, I forget what the opening to the line is like, gonna have him eat my pussy while I'm watching anime, pussy like a wild fox looking for a Sasuke, which is like, first of all, queen. Second of all, queen. Third of all, not only is it a very lore-specific reference to Naruto, like, she has seen the fucking show. This isn't just, like, base-level knowledge. This woman, who, by the way, is between our ages, she's 25, so just think about that for a second. She's that beautiful, that talented, and that successful at our age. So just...
I'm gonna go punch myself for a while.
Yeah, let's think about that. It is also a line that does insinuate that she thinks those two boys should be together. Which is just galaxy brain shit.
We've established that she has watched the show, which means that she knows that the show ships them also. So it's like...
Listen, shout out to my friend... I mean, like, Kishimoto just, like, doesn't know how to write women. Shout out to my friend Colleen, because she brought up that movie where the Naruto was like an opposite universe and everyone's weird. Have you not heard of that?
No, what are you talking about?
There is a movie where Naruto goes to a timeline where everything is opposite. So like Hinata is confident. It's like the tropiest garbage in the world. I can't believe you're only learning about this from me. But anyway, Sasuke's like a charming womanizer. And my friend Colleen's like, well, just saying, not saying, but the opposite of a womanizer isn't not being gay.
Everyone knows!
Anyway, if Sakura was written better... No, you know what? Fuck it. If Sakura was written better, she still shouldn't be with Sasuke because she deserves to kiss girls and punch things. Give her a proper arc.
Just have her hook up with Ino. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great. I'm glad we both reached that conclusion at the same time.
Let her marry Ino. They have a perfect and developed rivalry. I wish it didn't center around Sasuke because they're wonderfully successful women, and I wish them all the best. And Kishimoto can't write them. But I wrote a blog about that. I'll send Aaron the link so that our 3 audience members that I would be shocked that if they hadn't already read it, if they bother listening to our podcast. Anyway, let's do some Plugs. You can find me at LEYLSES on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram. My comic, Astral Heart Comic, was back September 24th. You can listen to this podcast. And I swear to God, there was something else, but I can't remember it, so it doesn't matter. That's me.
You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXL. You can follow the other podcast I do at MBMBF and me. Our Angels and Demons podcast should be going up tomorrow. It's a good time where we talk a lot about blowing up the Vatican.
Good. All right. Cool. Neat. Like we said earlier, our next episode's going to be the wrap up to our little Toonami Sampler, and then we'll talk about Hero the Ninth.
And we will get into necrophilia in that one.
Woo! Lordy, that'll be fucking something. I can't wait to read
it's
that.
It's so wild. It's so wild.
Okay, well, we're gonna see what Tamsin Ware did to us this time. Do we have a finishing line?
Nothing is wrong. Everything is wonderful. The pounding music and blinding lights are quite enjoyable.